Hello and welcome to the Afl Riverina Football and Netball Show. I'm your host, Hannah Maguire. In this week's show, we'll catch up with Leeton Whitton coach Damien Lang. He'll tell us about how his team's been faring throughout the season so far, and we'll also catch up with the RFL's president, Rob Ash, soon to talk about the competition this year. Welcome to the show, Rob. Now tell us, what have been the highlights of the 2013 competition?
It's been an exciting competition this year. There's 8 out of the 9 sides are still in contention of making finals. Includes Narendra, their time's running out, but it looks like the top 3 sides will dominate so far. So it's been good for every club to feel as if they can make the finals.
Okay, where do you think the league can improve?
Our league is progressing well. We have some outstanding coaches in our competition, and we have more and more good players coming up from Victoria. And our junior development is also improving enormously. So lots of young footballers are playing first grade now. So our league's on the up and up. We've had success recently with our representative program, and with all players wanting to play and all coaches wanting to support. So we think the league's in a pretty good position at the moment.
Okay, now where will the finals be played this year?
We've had discussions, preliminary discussions, and there's decisions to be made. We've decided that the grand final will probably be at Narendra again, but once again consultation will make that definite. At this stage, the finals will depend on who has what first grade sides, what second grade sides are in the finals, what netball sides are in the finals. To try and hit those venues, but all in all, it'll probably be venues somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, so you don't think it'll be at Robbo Oval?
At Robbo Oval is potentially a fantastic venue. This year, the second semi-final will be played under lights, so there's a possibility that they will get a final. We have 3 venues in our competition that have strong enough lights for night football. Griffith, Narendra and Wagga Tigers or Robertson Oval. So we just think that maybe their facilities are probably a year or 2 away from being top notch for a grand final.
Okay, and tell us a bit about the revamped under-17s competition. How has it progressed this season?
Well, the aim of the under-17s was to get maximum participation, to get as many kids in that age group playing football as possible. And that's still the aim. There's been a few hiccups along the way. We're pretty proud of the RFL clubs for hosting the Faro League teams in that competition to give all of those young players a game of football. There's little bits of movement happening for next year. There's possibilities that numbers could improve in other clubs, so they might be able to get their own competition going again, or we're going to have to mix it back in again next year. But the whole aim is all about participation, and I think they've achieved that aim.
Okay, and last question, who do you think will be in this year's grand final?
That's very, very difficult. Last year, Narendra came out of nowhere, made the 5, won 4 finals and won the premiership, and that's a possibility that could happen from 4th and 5th place this year, but I think Coolum and Ganmain and Collingully are definitely in place to be the grand finalists this year, so I think it'll be one of those 3 sides.
Okay, well thanks for your time, Rob. Now Rob will be back in the studio later on to give us his tips on the weekend's matches, but first let's hear from Leeton Whitton coach Damien Lang.
We're speaking with senior coach of the Leeton Whitton Crows, Damien Lang.
Yes, senior coach of the Leeton Whitton Crows, Damien Lang.
Now Damien, tell us, you have a nickname, and what's your nickname for the team?
My nickname going around at the moment would be basic one, which is Langy, which has been my nickname for years and years, and we don't really have a nickname for our team.
What was your most embarrassing football moment on field?
My most embarrassing moment on the footy field would probably kicking the ball through the points and carrying on like an idiot when I didn't realise it wasn't a goal.
Who's the name that'll win the Quinn medal in 2013?
The name that I hope wins the Quinn medal in 2013 will be Bryce O'Geary from Leeton. If it's not him, it could be a number of guys. Chris Gordon from Collingully, Guy Horton from Griffith, so it's pretty open this year again. So,
who do you follow in the AFL?
The team I follow in the AFL is the Sydney Swans, and hopefully we are going to go back-to-back this year again.
That was the next question. Who'll win the 2013 AFL Premiership?
Yeah, if it's not the Swans winning the 2013 AFL Premiership. Probably be Geelong, I reckon. So,
Who are you keeping an eye on to beat in the 2013 Riverina Football League?
the team that beat this year in the 2013 Footy League would be Coolman at this stage, I reckon. They had a very impressive win their first game, so they've recruited well, and I think they're one of the forces in this competition this year.
What do you think makes a good coach?
What makes a good coach is probably being able to be a bit of a people person and being able to look after a guy who's 34, 35, all the way down to a kid that's 16, 17, and making sure you get the best out of all those sort of different ages.
Who's been training the house down in pre-season at your club?
The player who's been training the best this year would be Jono Spooner. He's only a young kid into his second season of senior footy, and he's really put in a big pre-season and put on 6 or 7 kilos, which he needed to do.
Which player are you looking forward to will take the next step to the next level?
Not a young player to take the next step. It's more of a mature age player, which is Chris Downs, who only played 2 or 3 games last year. So he's put in a big pre-season, and hopefully he has an awesome year this year. So,
around the club, who's the most annoying at your club?
The most annoying player at our club is only a young guy who hasn't even turned 18 yet. His nickname is the Pest. His name is Tom Morton. He's making his debut this year in the seniors, and as I said, his nickname's the Pest, and he's very annoying.
Now, footy advice, what's the best piece of advice you received with regard to footy?
Best piece of advice I've received would be to practice hard, but make sure you're working on your left and rights.
Thanks for that, Brad. Now we're back in the studio with Rob. Now, Rob, we'll start with the tips for the Farrer League this year. We'll go with the game of the round, which is the Temora versus the Rock. It's the top of the table clash. Who's your thoughts here?
Yeah, you put me under the pump there because it should be a great game. Wouldn't mind going out and have a look at that. I think Temora might just win this one because it's a home ground and a really, really big occasion for them. They're starting to show a bit of form recently.
Yeah, Mark Kruger, coach with 13 goals last week. That's a pretty big effort.
Yeah, it just means their side's starting to get their act together to be able to give him that sort of supply. Yeah.
Okie doke. We'll move on to the Jets versus CSU.
Yeah, the Jets have had a pretty consistent year. CSU struggle, of course, when it comes around holiday time, so I'll pick the Jets in that game.
Colliambly versus Mara. Now, Mara, they've been in tip-top form of late, beat the Jets last week.
Yeah, Mara are the only side that's beaten the top side, so they've got to be considered for premiership odds, but I think Mara should win that game, yeah.
Okay, and we'll move on to North Wagga and East Wagga.
Yeah, I think East Wagga have had pretty good recent form. North Wagga are up and down a little bit. When they get everything right, they could probably contest, but I think East Wagga will win that. Okay,
now you'd be more familiar with the Riverina League. We'll begin probably the game of the round in this match. In this round would be Colin Gully versus Coolman. Who do you think in this one?
It'll be an outstanding game of football. Colin Gully have got the power forward of the league and know how to kick goals. But Coolman are probably got just a fraction more depth and have had a really outstanding season under coach Matt Hard. So I'll pick Coolman in that game, just.
Do you think anyone can beat the Hoppers?
I still think that the top 3 teams are all very, very good and on their day can win the premiership.
Okay. Turvey Park versus Narrandera. Now, Narrandera, they've been pretty disappointing this season, haven't they?
Yeah, they've had some injuries and some suspensions, and they're still an outside chance actually of making the 5, but they'd have to come home really strong. And this is one game they really need to win, so I'll be picking Narrandera in that game.
All right, Mangapla versus Leeton. Mango had an enormous game against Coolman last week. They only got beat by 8, and that says something, doesn't it?
Yeah, Mangapla have tested all the top sides this year, and they're doing a bit of a North Melbourne and just losing by a fraction in a few vital games, but outstanding young running side and should go really, really well. Leeton have grabbed a couple of new players recently, and they're starting to hit a bit of form too. But I think I'd probably think Mangapla would win at home. Yeah.
Yep. And the last game of the round, Ganmain versus the Wagga Tigers.
That'll be another great game of footy. Wagga Tigers are a little bit hard to pick. They've got some outstanding young players, and when they all come together and play some good footy, they can beat anyone. But I think Ganmain on their home ground will be too strong, far too much depth.
Okay, and Griffith, of course, have the bye. Well, that's all we've got time for today. Thanks for your time here, Rob. We'll be joining you again next week on aflriverina.com.au, so make sure you tune in. But until then, we'll see you later.